Out of 48 teams and well over 100 possible paths through this World Cup, the bracket has finally started locking into place. 6 of the 8 round of 16 matchups are now confirmed, and by the time the last whistle blows tonight, the entire road to the July 19th final will be set in stone. This is the moment every football fan has been waiting for since the group stage wrapped up. The 2026 World Cup already made history as the first ever 48-team tournament, and now that experiment is producing a knockout bracket unlike anything we've seen before. Giant killers sitting next to football royalty, and at least one blockbuster rematch nobody saw coming back in December's draw. So, which teams are locked in, who's still fighting for the final 2 spots, and which matchup on this bracket should you actually be marking on your calendar? Let's go through every single one. Quick note before we dive in, if bracket breakdowns like this are useful to you, go ahead and subscribe now. We'll be covering every round the same way all the way through the final. Here's the setup. After the round of 32 wrapped up 16 ties between June 28th and today, July 3rd, 16 teams remain. Because this tournament expanded from 32 nations to 48, FIFA added an entirely new opening knockout round this year, which is why we're only now reaching the round of 16 in early July instead of late June like previous tournaments. 13 of the 16 slots are already filled. The final 3 matches of the round of 32, Australia against Egypt, Argentina against Cape Verde, and Colombia against Ghana, are being played today, and those results will lock in the last 2 round of 16 ties by tonight. Everything else on this bracket is already confirmed and ready to go. From here, the round of 16 runs from Saturday, July 4th through Tuesday, July 7th, spread across 8 stadiums in 3 countries. The winners then move straight into the quarterfinals starting July 9th, with the semifinals on July 14th and 15th, and the final back at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey on July 19th. If you're enjoying this level of detail, hitting subscribe really helps this channel keep bringing you breakdowns like this one throughout the rest of the tournament. Here's where things get interesting, because the first half of this bracket is absolutely loaded. Let's start with Saturday. Canada takes on Morocco in Houston to open the round, and this one carries real weight for the co-hosts, since Canada beat South Africa in the tournament's very first knockout match to get here. Morocco, meanwhile, needed penalties to get past the Netherlands, and they've quietly been one of the most dangerous defensive teams in the entire tournament. Later that same day, Paraguay faces France in Philadelphia, and this might be the most fascinating mismatch on paper of the entire round. Paraguay knocked out Germany on penalties, arguably the biggest upset of the round of 32, while France cruised past Sweden 3-0 and looked like one of the most complete squads left in the competition. This is exactly the kind of David versus Goliath tie the expanded format was designed to produce.
Sunday brings 2 more massive matchups. Brazil faces Norway at MetLife Stadium, and this one's being talked about as a genuine box office clash. Brazil's attacking talent against a Norway side built entirely around Erling Haaland, who scored a dramatic late winner just to get his team here. Then, later that day, host nation Mexico takes on England at a newly renovated Estadio Azteca, one of the most historic grounds in World Cup history, and that atmosphere alone should be worth tuning in for regardless of the football. This matters because these first 4 matchups alone represent 4 different stories: an underdog co-host, a shock upset survivor, a generational striker duel, and a host nation under pressure in front of their own fans. That's a lot of drama packed into just 2 days of football. Before we move into the second half of the bracket, if this is the kind of coverage you want more of, subscribing is the easiest way to make sure you don't miss the next one. Now for the second half of the bracket, and here's where things shift towards something even more dramatic. On Monday, Spain takes on Portugal in Armington, and honestly, this might be the standout tie of the entire round. Spain dismantled Austria 3-0 to get here, while Portugal survived an incredibly controversial extra-time win over Croatia, one that ended with a VAR review deciding the match in the 103rd minute. two of Europe's most talented squads, both playing some of the best football of the tournament, meeting far earlier than anyone expected. Later Monday, the United States faces Belgium in Seattle, and this is arguably the biggest test yet for the co-hosts. Belgium needed extra time to come from 2 goals down against Senegal, showing they can grind out results even when things go wrong, while the U.S. have looked composed and organized through their first 2 knockout tests. The bigger issue for the final 2 ties is that we simply don't know who's walking through the door yet. On Tuesday in Atlanta, the winner of Argentina against Cape Verde will face the winner of Australia against Egypt. Cape Verde have already become the smallest nation ever to reach a World Cup knockout stage, and now they're 1 win away from potentially facing Lionel Messi's Argentina on the biggest stage of their footballing history. That same day in Vancouver, Switzerland, who cruised past Algeria 2-0, will face whoever survives Colombia against Ghana, a genuinely tough one to call given how well both teams have played through the group stage. What makes this bracket different from previous World Cups is simply the scale of it. With 48 teams instead of 32, we're seeing storylines this early in the knockout rounds that used to only show up in quarterfinals or later. Real giant killers, host nations under the microscope, and superstar collisions happening a full round earlier than fans are used to. If you want to keep track of exactly how this bracket fills in over the next few days, subscribing means you'll have it the moment it's confirmed. Now, think about what this bracket actually means for the people involved. For players like Messi, this could be his last realistic shot at a second World Cup title, and every match from here only gets harder. For Cristiano Ronaldo, still going at 41, a win over Portugal would set up exactly the kind of statement result that could define how this tournament is remembered for Portugal. For fans, the travel logistics alone are wild to think about. Supporters potentially bouncing between Houston, Philadelphia, New Jersey, Mexico City, Dallas, Seattle, Atlanta, and Vancouver within the span of a single week if their team keeps winning. That's 8 different cities across 3 countries hosting knockout football in one stretch, something no previous World Cup has ever asked of its traveling fans. And for host nations, Canada, Mexico, and the United States, all 3 still alive in the competition simultaneously for the first time in World Cup history, the pressure and the pride are both climbing with every round that passes. If you're finding value in this breakdown, tapping subscribe now genuinely helps this channel keep tracking every twist of this expanded tournament. So, what happens from here? Best case scenario for neutral fans, tonight's final 3 round of 32 results set up even more incredible storylines. Imagine Cape Verde actually beating Argentina, or Egypt knocking out Australia to set up an all-African run through the bracket. Both are realistic possibilities given how tightly matched these ties look on paper. Looking further ahead, the quarterfinal picture is already partly visible. The winners of Paraguay-France and Canada-Morocco meet in Boston on July 9th. The winners of Spain-Portugal and USA-Belgium collide in Los Angeles on July 10th. Brazil-Norway's winner faces Mexico-England's winner in Miami on July 11th, and whoever survives the bottom 2 ties meets in Kansas City that same day. The tougher, more unpredictable scenario is that one of these host nations gets knocked out earlier than expected, which some reports suggest could actually affect ticket demand and atmosphere for matches later in the tournament, given how much of the marketing has leaned on all 3 co-hosts making a deep run together. So, to bring it all together, 6 blockbuster round of 16 ties are locked in: Canada-Morocco, Paraguay-France, Brazil-Norway, Mexico-England, Spain-Portugal, and USA-Belgium. And the final 2 spots get decided tonight when Australia-Egypt, Argentina-Cape Verde, and Colombia-Ghana wrap up the round of 32. Which matchup on this bracket are you most excited for? And do you think Cape Verde's fairy tale run has one more win left in it? Let me know your prediction in the comments below. Before you go, hit that subscribe button so you're set for every round the rest of the way. This story is still developing, and as always, football never stays quiet for long. See you in the next one.